We are here this evening. We want to introduce the new X Fire V6. As I was just mentioning, the board this year, or last year and this year, we're winning the world title 2 times. So the V4 and the V5, mission accomplished, first place. For the V6, worked very hard with Aurelio. We did a lot of testing, we did a lot of tuning. We made a lot of, let's say, new ideas. We kind of were playing around a lot with what to do, what not to do, and we decided that we wanted to stay very close to the V5. We found the V5 to be performing very good in all conditions, all sizes. So now we decided to, let's say, play around with some of the key elements of the board. I'm going to begin now with what we did. The first thing we did, and what we've really been working a lot on in the last 3 or 4 years, has been the release point of the boards. This is dictating everything, really. It's dictating how the board is trimming. It's dictating how the board is coming up and down. How it flies like this, if it goes on the rail, if it goes flat. It's dictating a lot how the board is turning, and it's dictating a lot how the board is planing out of the jibe. Just this area here. Everybody has a very similar, let's say, from the middle of the board forward, everybody's very similar. Everybody has a very wide nose, everybody has a concave in the deck, every brand has some V in the front. So from, let's say, the middle of the board forward, it's not rocket science how to make a good board. The trick is what you do from the middle of the board and back. This is what we've been working on a lot in the last years, and we've been playing a lot with this release point here. We call this the contact patch. So if we take it up to the winger here, a straight line there, a straight line to the box, and this area here is the contact patch. This is what the piece of the board which is attached to the water on the downwind side, and this is dictating, like I said, how the trimming is going.
Sì, però un po'. Cercherò di ripetere un po' quello che ha detto sperando di ricordarmi tutto. Allora, quest'anno nel V6 abbiamo lavorato molto per dare il massimo della tavola, grazie anche ad Antoine che ci ha vinto 2 campionati del mondo. Abbiamo avuto grandi successi e abbiamo lavorato molto sulla parte posteriore della tavola, in quanto poi alla fine praticamente la parte avanti rimane molto negli anni molto simile, non cambia molto il deck il concave nel deck, però la parte veramente importante è la parte dietro della tavola, chiamata contact patch, che praticamente è la parte che tocca l'acqua, che dà la velocità, che dà la strambata, che dà tutta la vera effettività della tavola, ed è la parte dietro. Noi abbiamo speso molto tempo, molti test per lavorare molto su queste linee d'acqua su tutta quanta la superficie che finisce la tavola della poppa.
If everybody remembers from the V3 did not have a winger here, it did not have the TT tail, it was just a clean outline with a kink, and your back foot was more inside. When we developed the TT tail, which is bringing your back foot further out on the V4, we also had this point very far out. It was about out here. And this was very stable, very easy to ride, but maybe we could work on the acceleration and the top speed. So we've been modifying a lot with how to make the TT tail working good in the jibe. So on the V5 we made it curved here, which was a big innovation. We had in the V4 it was more straight here. And on the V5, the last year board, we were out about 2 centimeters here, between 12 to 22 millimeters, depending on the board size. We played a lot with this angle, this point here. This was really dictating a lot how the board was trimming. If you look there, you can really see how different it is on this contact points than the last year board. We played a lot with what angle to take this and what angle to take this. Some were more round, some were more straight, and quite a lot of testing we found out, well, that this was the ideal point and the ideal angle that we liked. It was straight here with a kink and straight there. If it had too much curve in this point here, the board was rocking a little bit like that. Now we found with this that the board is more stable, and the big advantage of us bringing the point in here but keeping the back foot as far out as possible, acceleration and top speed. This is the big, let's say, the point where we wanted to work on the most. The difference in, let's say, top speed and performance from the V5 is a little bit, let's say 3 to 5%. So we found that the V5 is still a very, very good and competitive board, obviously winning the world title. But we found with the V6 it's just a little bit step ahead. So we're very pleased with the outcome. Good luck with this one.
Dunque, allora, quest'anno abbiamo lavorato molto, come diceva lui, per vedere qual era la superficie di linea d'acqua più veloce e che comunque rispetto alle versioni precedenti aiutassero comunque sempre la strambata, facilitassero molto la partenza dopo la strambata. Abbiamo testato molto su provare delle linee dritte o curve su questa parte qua, abbiamo visto che c'è moltissima differenza, quindi siamo riusciti rispetto alla versione precedente a ridurre quasi 1,5 centimetri per parte ed avere ancora così maggiore velocità e maggiore tenuta in acqua nella parte posteriore della tavola.
So what we found with playing with this area here, we found that with this, let's say we call it CPT, contact patch technology, by reducing the point directly on that point there, we were able to get less leg pressure with the boards. So a lot of the slalom boards these days, they have a lot of leg pressure, so if you have your foot further out on the back, you get a lot of leverage on the fin, but sometimes your leg can burn a little bit. And if you have your foot really far in on the back foot, it's easy to ride, which is difficult because you are turned like this. And when you are turned like this, it hurts your back and it's hard to get upwind and it's hard to get a lot of leverage on the fin. So what we're trying to do is, with the whole idea with the TT tail, is to bring the back foot further out, you get the leverage on the fin, you can ride more straight like that versus riding like this. So you keep everything more parallel with the rig, which keeps your power zone lower. And the main point is that we are getting a lot of more acceleration and, let's say, top speed by bringing these points in. Another thing we worked on a lot, we wanted to work a little bit on the rail. We really like the rails from the last 2 years, but we wanted to make this very small modification, keeping it a little bit, let's say, a little bit lower on the apex. And we kept a little bit tiny changes through the feet, but everything is very similar. So overall, very pleased with the board. We have the same deck concave, we have the same outline in the front. We found this to be successful. The scoop line is very similar. We were playing a lot with the release and also working with our supplier to get the release points of the production a little bit cleaner. So overall, the V6 is a very good board.
Penso non ci sia bisogno di aggiungere niente, ha detto tutto lui e penso avete capito tutti. Qui è questione soprattutto di chi naviga molto su queste tavole, di come riesci a condurle, a tenere la posizione in base alla vela senza spostare molto il piede avanti e indietro rispetto all'asse del piede davanti. L'outline è rimasto il solito davanti, abbiamo lavorato un po' per ridurre un po' il rail dalla parte davanti, il concave era il solito e abbiamo lavorato molto sulla parte dietro e spero che vi piacciono e che troverete sempre soddisfacenti le nostre tavole. Grazie.
CPT technology, the contact patch, we were able to increase the range of the boards. So good point, Dylan. We can talk about what sail sizes, what fins. The boards are taking the same on the light wind. They're taking the same size big sail and big fin, but on the stronger wind you can go a little bit smaller sail and a little bit smaller fin. So the boards will take a smaller fin and have the same amount of lift. So this is a really important point. With the 129, I think normally you can take down to an 8.6, but I think you can take an 8.0, 7.8 perhaps with this board now, with a small fin, maybe a 44 or a 43. So the range is increased on the board, which is a significant point. It still takes a 9.5 and a 10 meter, no problem. It takes up to a 52 fin if you really need it, but normally on the World Cup it's 48 is the biggest. Even in the very, very light wind, even 50 centimeters is already getting draggy and not so fast. But in a lot of normal conditions, for a lot of normal guys, in 7 to 12 knots of wind, a 50 centimeter fin could also work very well. With the 122, again, we've increased the range with this modifications that we've done. So with the 122, you can definitely take down to a 7.5 and take a 40 fin on this board. and you can take it up to a 46, 48 fin, and also a 9.5 if you're a light wind sailor. So as you can see, if you go from 7.5 to 9.5 with one board, it's pretty good. With the 114, normally you can go down to a 7.0 with this board. I think it's still down to a 7.0. I don't think you can take a 6.5 or 6.3 on this board. So I think that last year the smallest fin I was riding with the 114 was 38, maybe 37, but on this new board I think it's possible to go down to 35, 36. So there's a difference with these boards. You can take a smaller fin and have easier ride, but still get the lift. With the 105, again, this is a totally new shape that we've done as well. The last year board was the let's say older concept. And this board you can take down to a 6.3 no problem. You can even take down to a 32, 33 fin, I think. But it depends how good you are, your sailing level, what conditions you sail in, but the normal sail size for this would be 7.0. So overall, the boards have more range, easier to handle with, let's say, stronger winds. They don't lift the same way. I think with the older boards, when you get overpowered and you start to lift, they come up like this. And these boards, they come up a bit more like that. So with the less leg pressure and with this contact crash technology, I think that it's going to be an easier ride. The boards require a stable fin, and maybe a little bit more stable fin than the V5, just to keep the tail of the board from not wanting to do that at all. So it's a little bit different tuning, but the performance is there.